The doctor definitely needs to powder his wig.
Welcome back to my bathroom. My name's Brittany. I'm a real hairdresser, and today I'm going to show you several different techniques that you can do at home to make your Halloween or cosplay wig look natural, or as natural as it can get. Show your face. In this video, I'm going to show you how to shampoo a wig, how to get rid of the shine on both blonde and dark wigs, how to pluck the scalp, how to curl these, and how to cut these, and any other thing I can fit in this video. The timestamps are in the description box below if you need to go back and refer to them. So before we get started, make sure you subscribe and like. I'm here for you every single week, twice a week on Wednesdays and Sundays. The units we're gonna be working with today are actually from the Walmart Halloween section, and they are full-blown synthetic wigs, which means they are basically doll hair or plastic, and you cannot put heat on them or they will just mount. But don't worry, we're gonna jazz these girls up. The first technique that I'm gonna show you is how to pluck or tweeze the part line. I'm using a styrofoam head for this, but if you don't have one, you can take a big cereal bowl or Tupperware bowl, whatever, and put it between your legs to kind of secure it. And to secure the wig, I'm using T-pins. You can grab these off Amazon, Sally's. I'll link all the stuff I'm using down below in the description box, by the way. But honestly, a lot of this stuff is a lot cheaper if you can find a local wig store. And all you do is just slap that baby right on here and it secures the wig on the styrofoam head. We're gonna take a pair of tweezers and we're gonna start plucking out hairs on this hairline. Just like this. If this is your first time, I would suggest doing it just like this, but you can go straight in for the kill and shave this section off, just like so. You take a very, very thin section, hold this down, rip it up. That speeds up this process, but you'll have more mistakes if you do it that way. Now you can see that we've created an actual part line versus all that stuck together, very unnatural looking. Do not take a normal brush and brush this out. If you do, this is what's gonna happen. It's all just gonna start falling out. If you do need to brush it, you need to use a very wide tooth comb or a wig brush designed especially for wigs. To blend this hairline part even more, we're gonna go in with some makeup. I'm using concealer today, but you can also use foundation, eyeshadow, whatever you have. Whatever you're using needs to match your skin tone. All you're going to do is do little dabs like such. Take any kind of makeup brush and start tapping this through. I'm out of mascara wands, but this does work best to use a clean mascara wand and kind of rub this through. So I'm just using a foundation brush that I got at the Dollar Tree and kind of ombreing or swiping this through. This particular wig is extremely shiny, which most synthetic wigs will be shiny, and natural hair tends to not be as shiny, especially if it's fried, dried, laid to the side like mine. So we need to decrease this shine. So for this blonde one, there's a couple different ways to eliminate all this shiny color. Technique number one is baby powder. For baby powder, and you can also use cornstarch or flour. Flour is probably the safer option because you know this Johnson & Johnson stuff causes cancer. You don't want to just shake this on. We want to apply this with some sort of makeup brush. I'm gonna be using this really large kabuki brush to do this. Take the powder, put it inside the brush. Tap off the excess powder, and you're gonna start tapping this. Now you'll want to shake it or either turn it upside down or take your wide tooth comb. We wanna make sure all the excess powder is off, so when you're out wearing this wig and someone touches you, it doesn't George Washington on them and explode of powder. You can see how much better this front portion looks versus this side. This is more matte and it actually makes it look, less yellow. And that's really only gonna work well on blonder or lighter wigs. If you have a darker wig and wanna use the powder method, you can use cocoa powder despite what some people will say. I had shaved my head once in beauty school and wore wigs, and I wore darker wigs, and cocoa powder always worked really well for me, except for when I got wet. Stay out of the rain, ladies. It makes it have that matte look, also smells pretty nice, and it spreads really well. Cocoa powder will work for dark wigs. Baby powder will not work for dark wigs. For the next technique on how to remove shine on a lighter wig, we're gonna be using dry shampoo. My favorite brand to use is Dove, and you're gonna do the same thing. Lift this up, spray. For the last technique, we'll use this back here, and we're gonna be using a product called Powder Play, and it's a powder like this. Instead of shaking it on the head like that, like I would do with my real hair, I actually prefer to put it on my palm and then put the brush in it and do the same technique of kind of pressing it in with my powder brush. You can see in this portion here, it reduced the shine, but my only complaint with that product is it does make the hair feel very tacky and sticky, but it does offer you the ability to kind of sculpt it, makes it more pliable. So if you needed to make a messier look or textured on a shorter wig, that would be what I would use. And for the scalp here, to finish it up, just run the powder brush over it and she'll be good to go. Now to get rid of the shine on a darker wig, I would suggest giving it a detergent bath or shampoo. As you can see, this one looks like a dang shiny sewer rat, and it really needs some attention. This was actually the cheapest one, very shiny. You need to take a big bowl, kind of like this one, and fill it up. It can be lukewarm water, hot, cold, it really doesn't matter. I just use lukewarm. Put a little bit of liquid detergent in there. And then you're also gonna put some liquid fabric softener. I actually wouldn't recommend this brand, this Suavitel. It is the cheapest brand, but it smells the strongest because it is kind of hard to get this smell out, and it'll give you a headache if you're wearing this wig all night and you smell like a dang baby. Just a little bit in there. If I'm working with a longer unit and it's really inexpensive like this sewer rat one, I like to cinnamon roll it up to avoid it getting tangly. Because once you get these things tangled, it's really, really hard to untangle this because like I mentioned earlier, if you brush it, it starts falling on the floor. It's just a dang mess. You get what you pay for. Taking this, and I'm keeping my hand in it, and I'm just moving it around, mocking the washing machine. Not only is this going to clean the wig or shampoo it, but it's also going to strip away some of that shine. Swirl and twirl this bad boy for a little bit. And I like to leave mine in for at least an hour, but you can leave this for 3 hours, overnight, whatever you want. Once it's set in here for about an hour, however long you want to let it set for, you're going to take this out and you're gonna run it through cold water until the water runs clear. Squeeze it out and you can unroll your cinnamon roll. Now to get the excess moisture out, you do not want to take a towel like this, a terry cloth towel, because these little hair or fibers on the towel will rough up this plastic. I would suggest using an old cotton shirt and just getting the excess moisture out that way. And the water should just slip off this thing. There's a couple more kinks and I'll get that when it's completely dry. Now I'm going to put her on a mannequin head and let her air dry. Normally I would let her air dry outside. It's actually monsooning here today, so I'm just gonna let her dry inside, but I'll show you what she looks like after she's done. So this is a great technique to make a darker wig have a more matte appearance, and you could even of course use this on a blonder or lighter wig if you don't want to put powder or any product in your hair. Another thing I'm thinking of, I used to teach at a beauty school, and one of my students who actually taught me most of this stuff, she would put hers in the washing machine. I would not recommend that. Also the dishwasher, unless you know what you're doing or you have a more expensive wig, but this one again is $3. Now I'm gonna show you how to curl a synthetic wig. You cannot just take a hot curling iron and curl these things. It will not only ruin your curling iron, it will ruin the wig because it will melt. Remember, plastic Barbie hair, $5. The wig we're gonna use for this is a side swept bang wig, Halloween, in this nice violet. Oh, that is gorgeous. It needs to be plucked because you can see that. We'll do that later. So if your unit starts to get frizzy, unmanageable, you can take a dryer sheet. Any kind will work. I'm just using these because they were on the clearance rack. And they're huge, like how wasteful is that? So I cut mine actually into 4 pieces. Rub this through. This will reduce that frizz. Take it like this if you have flyaways. Same thing for your real hair. Also, if you're a cigarette smoker or any other kind of smoker that has a heavy scent, you can rub this on your head and it will make that smell go away. Wigs do hold a lot of scents, whether it be cigarette smoke, you're outside yee-hawing at the fire, whatever it is, it's going to smell. So I would always have a dryer sheet just handy. I don't really know how this wig goes, like what the hell? Now if you see that your wig needs some layers or the length needs to be cut, you can absolutely do that yourself, by yourself in your bathroom. Here's how. You're gonna take a pair of scissors or shears. They do not have to be hair cutting shears. In fact, this will work better if you use a pair of Dollar Tree scissors because this is basically like cutting plastic. So it doesn't need to be anything fancy. It will ruin your fancy pair of shears. You cannot go through and cut a straight line, because here is what will happen. Watch. It is blunty-dunt. Do you see that? That is straight up very unnatural. Wigs show every single scissor move you make. We have to take everything with a diagonal or 45-degree approach to make this blend and look natural. So let's say that we want to take our length, which is way down here, and we want to cut it to our neckline here on this mannequin. I'm going to section this off to the best of my ability, clip this thing back. You can absolutely cut this on yourself, but might I suggest putting your real hair in a wig cap. Take this, and I'm going to go in and do these point cuts. And in most of my videos, when I talk about point cutting, we're point cutting up and down, up and down, up and down. We're actually going to angle our shears and cut little mountains, 45-degree angle. This is going to make a staggered effect and make it look more natural. You can also cut this with a razor if you want. I'm gonna be using scissors today because I think that's what most of you will have. But if you have a razor, it works a little bit better. Okay, so here's my reference point. I'm gonna go through and cut these triangles. And now I'm gonna go straight up and down. Point cutting, feather out the ends. And you can see how nice that looks versus taking this and just going in for the kill. If it's still a little bit too blunt, take this out, and you can over direct this out towards you. Take your scissor or shear. We're gonna be using the belly, starting in the mid shaft, which is the middle of the hair strand. And we're going to shave off the top. So you take it and you kind of crank your scissor down. This is also how you would create a layer if you chose to. Add a little face frame layer here, face frame layer here. Now for our last technique, I'm gonna show you how to take your straight haired wig or unit and curl it with curlers. This works best if you have actual perm rods. For some reason I couldn't find mine, so I'm gonna be using foam rollers today. And they just look like this. This is going to be on a dry wig. I do like to take the mixture of the fabric softener with a lot of water and just spray it just a little bit. You don't have to, it just makes it more malleable. You take as thick or thin of a section as you want. For these, I start at the bottom, and you can roll these kind of any way you want. But if you do it very uniformed or spiral staircase like this without twisting it, it will be a very ringlet curl. The best way I can describe it is like a little girl curl. It doesn't really look too good in my opinion. I mean, it does if you're younger, but I'm in my 30s, so that's not really gonna work for me. I prefer to take mine and twist it like this before I start wrapping it. Spray the ends a little bit. Taking this, putting the end on here, and wrapping it just like a spiral staircase. Now I've got a pot of boiling water here. I just took it off the stove, and you wanna let it set for about a minute or so to kind of let it rest. You probably would want to transfer it into a bowl, but we're already balls deep, so we're going to be using this. Take this, and we're going to let it set in this pretty much boiling water for about 2 minutes. You really don't want to leave it any more than 3 minutes. And you don't have to worry about it melting the rod. It's not gonna melt it. It's been about 3 minutes, and I'm gonna take the same towel that we had earlier, kind of squeeze it, careful because it's hot, and we're gonna let these air dry. And I just set out a shirt and basically let them dry. This is not really something that you can speed up because it's wrapped, so it needs to dry on the top, in the middle, and the bottom. Usually it does take about 24 hours, but you can run the blow dryer on cool if you want to speed it up. Perfection takes time though, ladies. Be patient. So here they are after I've let them air dry for about 24 hours, and you can see it's a nice ringlet style wave curl. At this point, you could refine them, but you want to be really, really careful not to brush them or comb them because they're going to expand and make frizz. This is where you could take the dryer sheet to kind of tame that down, but you want to do any kind of work with your fingers, but very minimal touching. All right, ladies, hey, and gays, thanks again for joining me here in my bathroom. I can't wait to see you on Sunday for episode 22 of Sunday Service, and that's just where I make a really big deal out of ordinary things on a Sunday. And next week on Wednesday for another hair tutorial, and on Fridays on the shorts, redneck food reviews. I hope you're staying safe and having a fantastic week. Remember, don't take any from anyone, and I will see you next week for something cool. Something cool.
The sky sky is falling. Everybody's trying to grab the cloud. The sky is falling. Everybody's